I remember thinking, God, he's just going for it all the time. Like what? I mean, like what? How is that mahjong? He just wants to win every hand. And I obviously I have realized that there's much more behind what you're thinking there.
It's the Mahjong Gen YouTube channel.
Welcome to Proast, where we are Mahjong pros roasting. Are we roasting our fans? Is our guest roasting us? Come along with Jen and me as we discover and rediscover how much we can still learn about this game.
Each episode, we feature one streamer from usually the English side of Mahjong. They share our hands with us, and we get one really 8i, awesome, incredible pro to help us analyze and actually teach us how to analyze because we need a lot of help.
Lots of help.
Press the like and subscribe buttons right now, please. Immediately. And our streamer this week is Tips and Tricks, the infamous commentator for many streams all over the place. And also has his own stream every week on Tuesday afternoons if you are in the US. Go like him on Twitch.
Yes, indeed. And our guest this week probably needs little introduction, but let's tell you who he is anyway, just in case you've been sleeping in a mahjong-less cave since the millennium started. Hisato Sasaki has famously haunted mahjong parlors since before he joined the pro circuit in the same year as Jen and I in 2005. He was soon battling the A-Leaguers and, as always seemed inevitable, he won his first Phoenix Cup in 2020. He's won Grand Prix Max and the Champions League before it became the WRC League. And a whole bunch of Mondo and Tenku Mahjong titles. You will also recognize him as one of the star players in Konami's Mahjong Fight Club, not just the arcade game and the slot machine games, but also he was an original draftee of the Mahjong Fight Club team in M League, where he was the top point getter in the 2020-2021 season. So obviously that was a big year, a standout year for him. We could spend the whole episode listing his accolades, so before we use up all the time there, let's welcome to the show Hisato Sasaki.
Welcome.
Or as he's actually known, yes, many people just call him Hisato.
こんにちは。
こんにちは。
ようこそ来てくれてありがとうございます。よろしくお願いします
お。願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
ケンとガースは同期で
ね、
そうそう
そういえば同期ですよ。
22期生でね。随分長いことやってきましたね、2人とも、3人とも。
タイトル足したらまだHisatoほどじゃないね。
確かに。そうだね。なんか同期は M リーガー2人いるので、それは倍にしたいですね。Okay, so let's get right into Tips and Tricks' hand. Okay, this is the East round, the third hand. Our hero Tips and Tricks is in the South seat with 25,200 points. This is a 10-ho. This is 10-ho rules. So I believe they start with 25,000 and need 30,000 to win. Kandora is shown after the discard, and there are red fives. I think we should just like look at the hand. What are you thinking?
まあいいですよ、まとまりそう。横に伸びそうなんで、ピンフを目指します。
Okay. Let's see.
両面タッチすごく多いから。
And so, of course, we're probably not thinking, at least at this point, we're really not thinking we're going to chi or pon for this hand, right?
泣く気はないですね。
そうですよね。はい。
赤も入ってくるんだったら、赤牌もね、例えばカウンマンで赤で入ってきたらいいなとかそういうイメージを持って、ターンツが1個足らないので、例えば両層引くとか、3万とか7万引いて、マンズを膨らませるようなイメージで、序盤は戦いますね。
Okay, here we go. And right off the bat, his Sea Wind his seat wind pairs up. Does this change anything when you see the seat wind pair up?
まだここからはちょっと仕掛けたくないですね。っていうのはカンウーマンの、ね、ターツがあるから泣いても、まあ、苦しくなる可能性もあるんで1枚目はする、
Okay.
2枚目出た時に、形がもっと変化してたりしたら泣いてもいいんだしいいしこのままでも泣いてもいいと思いますしょうがなく。
Okay. So let's see what Tips does. And he gets the 5 bam. That's good. Got a triple in there now. And he pawned the first one, but probably the advice here is to not pawn the first one.
もし殴るんだったら一気に想像の法律に行きたいですね。点数が安いし順目が早いんで、想像がまあ7枚あるから、これを生かして両相引くとかになったらもう一気に想像いけるじゃないですか。だから
in that case, he probably should have kept maybe not the white dragon because there's 2 up, but should he have thought about keeping honor tiles earlier?
そう。難を1なきしようって考えるんだったら字をたくさん持ってそれを重ねて役々本質とかにするようなイメージを持った方がいいかなと。
Okay, great advice. I like it. I like anything that's half flush points.
いいです。この切り方はいいね。ローワンとこはだから本質に行こうとする意識もあるし、今いいシャンテンじゃない？例えば酸素とかパースを切るといいシャンテンだけど、それだと点数も安いし形も苦しいから伸ばそうという意識はすごくいいと思います。想像のうちに行くじゃないですか。これはね、ローワンスワンって切ってって想像伸ばしてって3ピン2ピンって切るイメージができてるからすごくいいかなと思います。
What does he do? Does he keep going for the flush? Oh, what about that?
これはこれでも別にいいのよ。形がそんなに悪くないから、十分戦えるじゃないですか。例えば相手がリーチかかってもこれだったら攻め返していくでしょ。
But before you just said you were thinking about going for the Hoinsu. So if the 1 or 4 comes out, it's like thinking like, okay, if the 1 and 4 comes out, I'll call, and if it doesn't, then I'll go for Hoinsu.
そう本当はこの因数ピンの両面も泣かなくてもいい。自分で持ってきた時はもう諦めて安い点数にしようかなと思うけど、いいピンチしたらもう本質なくなっちゃうじゃないですか。だから両面出たけど食わないって言ってもある。点数を高くしようって思うんだったらね、もう因数ピンチだと点数がもう限られちゃいますね。泣いて悪いってことじゃないけど、もちろんこうしたらまっすぐ上がりに向かうってことですね。
なるほど。
Garth, what would you do with this 1 dot?
So I have that feeling also. I feel like that's something that we also got a fair amount of, in our study groups. Once you've called for tiles, you don't really have the option. You're a little bit more, I don't know. You have a little less freedom to try to make your hand as expensive as possible, and you're kind of in a vulnerable situation. And so it's probably better to be going for a quicker win in that situation. And all right, sure, if you got to Honitsu, it would be a more expensive hand. But I do feel like having already pulled there and having not committed to Honitsu in the first place, I feel like it's already getting a little late. So I kind of tend to agree. Kind of got to take the chi there and move the hand along.
Okay, let's keep going. So cheese. Like generally, I tend to not like to go for the senten, the 1,000 point called hands.
例えばオーラスとかだったら全然この仕掛けでいいんだけど、まだトン3局ね、半チャン戦だったらせっかくこうやって打点が見えるときに1000点で仕掛けちゃうのはもったいないかなっていうちょっと気はしますかね。
I feel like that. I do need to be teach myself how to do that more in the south round though. Okay.
自分がトップとかだったらちょっとまた話は違うけどね。25,200点で追っかける側だから。
Okay, and
so
here we have 1-8 and 1-9 on the board, and we have 1-2 and 1-3 on the board. Is there anything to decide here which is better, the 7 or the 3?
まあチーしたらチーソーが普通かな。ローソーチーしてチーソー切るのはやっぱ打敗としては自然に見えるけど、ただカンローソーでくると6級層待ちなんですよ。5-7で食うと 7、8の6級層が残るじゃない。
うんうんうん
だから9の方が倍打たれそうだから迷わないのは6級層に受けるのが正しいかなっていう感じですね。だから5、7で食った方がベストかなという。
Oh.
なる
Did you
ほ
think
ど。
of that, Garth?
I did not.
Wait, let's go
Wow.
back just a second because probably maybe we would have thought
こう
about
安
it.
い仕掛けはね、
そうだね。
上がってなんぼじゃない。上がってなんぼだから上がりやすい、最終形を目指すんで、このなんだ3555じゃなく5557でもなくて、まあ、78の6級でやっぱり最後受けるのが自然かな。
Okay, what if you really love the 3BAM?
でも3と1枚切れてるね。皮に1枚切れてるし、なんかこう時間かかっちゃいそうかな。どっちに受けてもね。で、ペーチャーもパースを切ってるし、トンチャも急須を切ってるから、まあ、9は比較的みんなから切られやすいじゃないですか。だ場に打たれやすい範囲で待つっていうのは麻雀の基本ですよね。
そうですよね。その三蔵が好きだから無理やり三蔵にする。
そうそうそう。好きだったらしょうがないね。そっちに受けちゃう。
So we got to see that cheat twice. Woohoo. There's not really anything to talk about, but we'll just watch until the end of this hand. And
これも両面に変えらそうですね。こうしたらこの方がいいかな。1の方が皮に打たれやすいっていう感じしますよね。
yeah, I think that's good. I think that's pretty standard. If you're new, maybe that's something you need to look at. Switching to the 1-4 weight instead of the 3-4 weight and winning the hand with 1,000 points. So.
Success. So I did have a quick question I wanted to ask. You sort of already answered it a little bit, but just give a little bit more explanation about and a little bit of an introduction to it, just because when we first started playing against you, we played against you a lot in study groups and whatever, and I remember thinking, God, he's just going for it all the time. Like what? I mean, like what? How is that mahjong? He just wants to win every hand. And I have realized that there's much more behind what you're thinking there, and I would like you to sort of explain what is the philosophy then behind. Okay, this situation you could make an argument for going for it, or in other situations why you wouldn't just be going for it to win, just to try to win every hand.
一曲一曲やっぱテーマがあるわけですよ。そのまっすぐ上がりに行く曲っていうのはこの一曲を例えば上がることでその後の展開が非常に有利にできるとかね。でここで相手の模様を蹴っ飛ばす1000点でもいいから蹴っ飛ばしたらもう相手がすごく条件がすごく厳しくなってこっちが有利になるんだとか。今の一曲を例えばそれに当てはめるとまっすぐ行く曲じゃないですか。超直線的に。そういう時のそういうことの使い分けをうまくやることですね。毎回上がりに行ってるわけじゃなくてどっちかというと守備してる時間の方が長いわけ麻雀って。ただまっすぐ行くぞって決めた時にはしっかりした形を作るってことを意識しながらやる。
Very nice.
Did you get the answer you were looking for? まあ今回の手がちょっと短かったのでちょっと一つだけ、泣いたところを見ていただきたいんですけど、よしこの手 Okay, we have this hand and you have a triple of the green dragon, but would you ever call if the green dragon came out?
感はしないね。感しないです。
絶対
テンパイ入って両面待ちでテンパイが入ったとしますねこの後その時だったらいいかもしれない。
Let's look at how this player played. Okay.
Is there any mystery what's going to happen here?
I didn't just spoil it all for everybody. All right, any cons?
だったんだね。
まあこれはもう絶対やめた方がいい感じですか。
親なんだ。親
親でオーラス。Yeah, the dealer and
親
it's the last hand. Yep, and in second place with 28,500 points.
面前でやれば打点が上がる可能性があるのに、例えば関しちゃって何もカンドラ乗んなかったら安いわけですよね。
Right.
で追いかける側じゃないこっちが28,500でトップ目は45,000点だからこれで関しちゃって例えば2,000点とかで終わらせるのはすごくもったいない、もっと打点を追いますね。
I think so. But So, yes, we do think that basically it's probably going to be a mistake to do this in every situation. However, is there a situation you can imagine? I mean, perhaps this isn't it, but can you imagine a situation where you would be Menzen and still, like, right off the bat, Daiminkan the first chance you get?
免税から大民間って基本的にあんまやらないですね。
そうですよね。
よっぽどじゃないと、そのドラが出てドラを関するとかだったら話は違いますよ。ただこの発がドラで、それが出て缶だったら1個乗って羽間になるから、それはまだやっぱってわかります。
なるほど。Okay,
はい
Well,
okay.
you said wakarimasu. You said you understand it, but would you do it though?
しないです。
Okay.
なるほど。
So, what
Yeah.
if it becomes Dora?
Look at that!
これはすごいね。びっくりした。これはなかなかないわね。あ、だったらこれ関してもし乗ったってことになったらローソンは切らない方がいい。
Oh, okay. What should he discard then?
上がりに向かって、白とかチュンとか今1枚ずつ川に見えてますね。ドラの表示に白1枚めくれた、川に1枚チュンも切られてるから、想像のローソンを切っちゃうとそれは横に伸びないですね。
And you need one more
上が
group.
りを目指すんだったら自販に1枚切りますね。どっちでも白でも。
Okay, so we'll just see what happens with this hand real quick. We got 2 hands in 1 for the first episode with tips and tricks.
だからね、ここにローソンを持ってると、ウーソンを持ってきた時3連チャンできるでしょ。2、3、4、5、6って形ができるから、それは上がりに近づいてるじゃないですか。だか
Yeah, we always want to look for those sun mentions.
ら急須を持っちゃってると、すごく手配にはいらないし。
I think this hand is a big argument in thinking about conclusions justifying means.
Yeah, that was actually a huge challenge with with this guest. I'm sorry, Tips, but there were so many hands that I wanted to say, why would you do that? And then he won all of them.
そうね。そう。
まあ、この方は結構それが多かった。なんでこれをするのって思って、結局全部上がってるから、レッスンになんないじゃんって。
なるほど。
But yes, we need to explain how it's not always the results. All right, so he commits at least. And gets stuck but goes for it.
そして
まあ、
一応
前通して、はい、積もりました。喜んでます。
リボ出て、
ビーボー出てね、4セオリーで変わるんだけど、麻雀のセオリーで言ったらちょっと違うよね。発が乗ったのはやっぱり結果論っていうか、
そうだね。
ある程度面前で、形をねつけからそれでも仕方ない時に泣いてってで自分で両面の撤廃泣いて撤廃しましたみたいな形になって最後は発が出ましたみたいになったら関してもいいかもしれないけど、そこからいきなり関はセオリーからは外れてるかなという気がしますね。
Okay, that's a really important lesson. So don't always just look at the results to see if you played correctly or not. If you want to see if you played correctly, you should go ahead and send your hands to us at Prost, and we will get somebody smarter than us to tell you if you played your hands correctly or not.
To perhaps call that kind of play, それは違和感っていう？
違和感。
I feel like I'm total genius.
In English, we call it con for content. So if you'd like to send your hands to us, then go ahead and DM. Find us on social medias. Do you want to introduce our social medias, Garth?
Oh yes, I am Garth E at on Twitter, which is now not Twitter, X. Jen is Mahjong Jen, I believe. Yes.
Yes. And then also Hisato has not only Twitter but also YouTube channels, right?
滝沢とニコ生の、滝久チャンネルっていうのがあるから、YouTube ではないけど。
Nico ne. Okay, so everybody, if you want more of Hisato, it will be in Japanese, but go over to the was it Takahisa channel? Taki Hisa channel. Taki. And check it out there. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll have some foreign guests someday. We don't know.
One day, yeah. It could happen.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
That's it for today's show. Thanks to Hisato for spending the afternoon with us on Prost. And thanks to you all for watching. And be sure to join Jen and me again on the next episode of Prost on our journey to get enough advice to finally play like a pro.
Thank you. ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Game over.